Guys, this is the model that we have for today, the haircut that we have. We're doing like a lower fade with some curls on the top. The time is currently 8:45. So we're gonna see when I actually go ahead and finish with this haircut, but this is gonna be a full detailed breakdown of real sharp speed and efficiency just to give you guys a curly top connected in with a lower fade. So let's get into it. First step that we're gonna do is go and just saturate the hair. When you have so much hair, the easiest way that you can go about this is really just by isolating the hair, right? By sectioning it out and make it just easier to deal with. There's a quote that I really like, and it says that, you know, how do you eat an elephant? And it's one bite out of a time. Now, I don't eat elephants, and I've never ate an elephant, but that's not your business. Now, let's get into actually sectioning this hair. You can see this is just naturally where her swirl is. You wanna find the swirl, and you wanna section from the swirl. That's gonna help you split the hair into what belongs on the sides and what belongs into the top. Now, how can you get a parting super easy and efficient? You just take your comb, run it straight to the front. Just run everything straight to the front, and you're gonna see you get these really, really nice comb lines. All you wanna do is take a comb line straight to the recession, especially if they don't have like any type of like swirls in the front. You just want to take it straight to the recession right there, and you see how easily we're just breaking this down. Now we go ahead and do the same thing over here. Just break it straight down just like that, and pull apart straight at the corner of the hairline. When I say recession, I mean corner of the hairline. You see that? Boom. Now you have a clean, you have a straight line, the hair is sectioned, and now it's a lot easier to deal with. We're gonna start by actually setting our foundation with the sides. This is just gonna be the basis of our fade, so let's get straight into it. But the cool part is that this is gonna be the base for our fade, but it's also gonna be what we actually connect our scissor work into, and now it's gonna be a lot easier to deal with. So what you wanna do is find, where is that parietal ridge? Where is that round of the head? And usually how I do this is just by putting my comb on the head and seeing, okay, where does the comb start to bend? Where does the comb start to leave the side of the head? And I also do that in the back, because what you'll notice is that it actually drops. The comb will bend lower here than it will here. So our line is gonna be higher, and then it's gonna drop towards the back. So since we're gonna be doing a skin fade, what we wanna do is go ahead and put our fingers on the scalp. That's gonna be how close we're gonna go. But since my client wants a lower fade, I'm gonna try to keep some of this curl on the side. So instead of putting the line up super high like this, I'm gonna go and actually drop it down a little bit lower right here. And then we're just gonna go and start to trim all of this. That way we have a base to fade into, but also we're gonna have some nice curls on the side. Now when you do this, the cool part about this is that you're going to actually be able to keep some curls on the side, but yet still blend into it. And I think a lot of times with haircuts like these, barbers, you know, they'll struggle. And the reason why they're gonna struggle is because they don't really know how to deal with the curls, right? How can you blend into curls? A lot of times people will take haircuts like this and turn them into undercuts. Not every client wants an undercut. Some people just want like a nice curly fro, and you guys have to know how to blend that in. So this is what we're doing. We're just taking our base, we're putting our fingers on the scalp so that our clippers can blend into it. And I'm purposely going lower than the parietal ridge because we're gonna do a lower fade. But you can see as I kind of let this hair relax, it still has enough length to curl up. So we're gonna go through and set this line in all the way around the head. Same thing over here. Take all this hair, pull it down. And we're just going piece by piece, and I really don't want to cut past this line in my finger. And the reason why is because when you start to cut past that line in your finger, you start losing tension. When you lose tension, you know, cuts are not going to be as consistent, not going to be as even. And the reason why that matters is because then you're going to have to go back and do it again. I'm really big on just being efficient, and efficient doesn't mean rushing and getting your client out the chair as fast as possible. Being efficient means, like, in my opinion, just doing it right the first time and not wasting time, and still being able to really give out a great quality haircut. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't, you know, check your work. I'm a huge fan of checking your work, but I guess I'm more of a fan of just like making sure the skill set's there, right? Making sure that you're not just guessing through these haircuts. So you can see right here, we have a nice line. It is slightly higher on the sides than it is in the back, and it drops. Now you can see that there's some hair that's kind of traveling right here, and it's shorter and then getting longer. Now remember, all this hair is also going to curl up. So I'm also taking that into account as well, that if I cut this too short, when it curls up, it's gonna look really, really flat in the back of his head. So I'm gonna trim up here a little bit shorter, but really not that much, because I still have to account for these curls shrinking back up. Step over here, and every time that you're stepping or every time that you're cutting something, you want to make sure that you're stepping so that your chest is right in front of whatever you're cutting. And now I'm going to go here and just connect that top point to the bottom point, pulling some sections. And you see I'm not cutting a lot of hair, but I feel like, you know, small details like this matter, especially with curls. Like, you really don't want to be clipper over combing. I feel like, especially with a curl texture like this, I just don't feel like you're gonna have a consistent haircut when you're doing stuff like that. But now that we have our foundation for the sides, let's start to get into cutting the top. So you gotta go ahead and wet the top. Make sure that the hair that you're cutting is saturated. And we're gonna go, since it's gonna be a curly fro, it's not gonna be a comb over or anything like that. What we're gonna do is drop the chair to the floor, split this hair down the middle, and you can always use like their nose as a guide. Now, if they have like a swirl in their hair, you wanna kind of edit it to the swirl. Like, I'm gonna bring this into his swirl right here. But besides that, you can really just drop it down. And that's just because you want it to be even on both sides. Now we're gonna go ahead and connect the top into this kind of line that we set. How do we do that? I'm gonna take this hair, pull it straight to my chest, and I'm gonna find that bottom line right there, and I'm going to connect it. Now, just be aware that with curls, they're going to shrink. So when you're cutting the hair, you have to keep that into account. So I'm okay with it's being a little bit longer because I want, when this shrinks up, to still be, you know, a length that's gonna suit my client. Now, I'm gonna give him a little bit of like drop in the front, but this is way too long. So I'm gonna go ahead and now, since I wanna keep some length here, I'm gonna go ahead and start to drop this line down a little bit more. That way that he still has kind of some curly bangs to cover some of his forehead, but at the same time, it's not too much either. And guys, remember, this is curls. These are gonna shrink up. I think that's the biggest thing I could tell you with curls, guys, is like, you can cut them and then you can kind of mess with them, see where they're laying, and either you like it or you don't. So if you see where these are laying and they're laying a little bit too heavy, too long, then you can go and cut them. But I would suggest leaving them longer first, especially if it's something like this and it's your first time cutting a client. Leave it a little bit longer, then go ahead, mess with the curl a little bit, mess it up, scrunch it up a little bit, and then go ahead and see, okay, if you want to take it shorter or not. So I'm going ahead, and also when you guys are taking these sections, make sure that you guys are using that fine teeth side of your comb. And the reason why is because when you're using that fine teeth side of your comb, I feel like you still just have way better tension. Now you see, I'll go ahead and I'll mess with the curls and I'll see where they're laying. And either I like it or I don't, right? If I like where these curls are laying, then I'll keep it right here. But if I need to go and edit it a little bit more, then I can. But I want to see how they're gonna sit. Every curl is gonna have its own characteristics, if that makes sense. Might sound crazy, but like, not every curly person that you cut, your hair is gonna lay the exact same. You gotta mess with the curls. Mess with the curls, see how they're laying. Especially when it comes to the front. The front's huge because this is where, you know, your bangs are gonna be sitting at. So what I'll do is I'll comb the hair down. I kind of created like a triangle here with how I pulled the sections down. So now I have this shorter than the middle. I want more of a framed kind of even hairline. So there's gonna be, you know, a peak right here. This peak, I wanna cut just for the type of bangs that I wanna give him. Let's say he wants the bangs to be like above his forehead. If I cut them at the forehead, when they shrink, they'll be all the way up here. So you wanna cut them longer than what you really want them to be. Now, my client hasn't gotten a haircut in literally like 4 months. So, you know, I'm taking off more than what I would usually take off. Let's say, you know, if he came in, you know, once a month or once every 2 weeks and stuff like that, it wouldn't be this much of a trim. Now I have a more solid curly hairline right here, which is really what I want. Now we gotta go and actually cut the top. So I'll go ahead, stand behind him, comb all this hair out. And each section that I take is going to be about 1 inch wide. So like, this is gonna be one section. This is gonna be another section right here. This will be another section. I'm gonna go here, pull this hair up. You can see my short point right here. I'm going to cut straight into that. Now, since his hair is already curly, I don't need to really point cut because it already has that natural kind of texture into it. So I'm gonna go here and just start to cut right there, just like this. Take another section, cut, cut, cut. Now, something that's huge, right, is that a lot of times when I'm cutting the top, for a majority of the cuts that I'm doing in the barbershop, I'm keeping my fingers straight. Sometimes you see people put their fingers like this, and then like this, and like this. That's gonna create a rounder shape. I like to keep my fingers more like this. I feel like it keeps the top a lot more full. Because I've already went and connected in the sides, I don't have to worry about any hair really hanging over. When I was connecting the top into that first line, how is hair gonna hang over that? It's not. So I don't have to worry about changing my fingers. I just keep my fingers parallel to the floor. Then right here, you can see my fingers parallel to the floor. And then I'll go right here, pick this up, same thing, boom. And then we're gonna do the same thing again. And you're just going literally all the way to the front. And the only thing I'm looking at is my guides. The hair that's coming off is the hair that's coming off. Go ahead and pick up this last section, bring it back, my guides right there. And that's why I feel like it's so important to really section out that hair and set in the proper guides. The reason why is because you're gonna be using them for the rest of your haircuts. I feel like it makes a lot of sense to go ahead and make sure that your guides are set in the first place. And then at the end, when everything's cut, I'll bring it all up and I'll see how it's laying. Now, obviously I know that these curls are gonna shrink, but I'm looking for anything to kind of really stick out. I'm looking for any type of length to, you know, be overhanging somewhere. You know, so far I really, really like how this is sitting, especially when you bring some of these curls down in the front. You can see that it has just a way better shape to it. Now let's go ahead and see. If I had to change anything, I might want to bring, you know, maybe the back in just a little bit, maybe not so heavy back here. So how would you go and how would you fix that? Well, let me go and let me part this back out and let me just bring this in a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and take 1 inch off of here. I'm just gonna take some of the weight out the back. So this is about 1 inch. I'm gonna go here, drop my line a little bit lower, and that's gonna make sure that everything's, you know, even throughout. It's kind of like when I was pulling those vertical sections in the beginning. And you can see I like that a lot more. Just went ahead and just took some of the weight out the back. I feel like that's sitting a lot better. And now we can go dry the hair and start getting into the fade. Here you can see we're about to start the low fade. This is telling me right here exactly where to place my fade. But now I can go and spread out my fade, and as long as I don't go into past that line, I know I'm not gonna mess with anything on top. So I'm gonna take my number 4 guard. I'm just gonna go straight into that. Now, I'm also almost blending into it, but I'm trying to keep it as full as possible. Especially I wanna keep the C-cups a little bit fuller. We're gonna go ahead and grab this. And you can see that it's gonna float straight into there. It's gonna take a lot of that weight out. And for me, it allows me to help me to really place my fades. Now, sometimes when you are dealing with lower fades, you know, you might have a little bit more weight, but remember, you can always take that out later. I guess what you really wanna do is just realize that with this system, you can always take out more. Like, that's just almost like a general rule of hair cutting, right? Is that you can always take more hair off, you just can't put it back on. Now my 4 is just going straight into there, and this is what I use just to debulk. Now I don't want to get rid of a bunch of this weight, because a bunch of this weight is really going to be all the curls. Now let's go ahead. The next step is going to be the 3 straight into it. I'm gonna be showing you guys the 2 guard fading method that I've been using. Your first guard is just a debulking guard, and that's pretty much, you know, what I'm doing with the 3 right now. I'm really just debulking. After this, it's just really 2 guards. And I've only really used this system on these clippers, and the reason why is because these clippers have a stretched bracket. So they open up a little bit longer than, like, I guess your standard clipper, and it's, you know, just because of that, you can use a system like this a lot easier and not have to worry about your fade being pushed up and, you know, stuff like that. Now the next step is we're gonna take our 1.5 straight into that 3. And this is where, you know, this is the first guard right here. Now I'm showing you guys the way that I would usually do. Usually I would use more guidelines to show you guys, but with these tutorials, man, I wanna keep it, you know, authentic too. I wanna show techniques that may challenge you guys a little bit, but ultimately it's gonna help you grow. Right now, all you really wanna focus on is focus on getting these teeth, these cutting teeth, right under where that last guard was. This is called guard stacking, where you're stacking the guards right under one another. So right now, I'm just focusing on these metal teeth going right under where I just was with that 3. When you focus on guard stacking, you can down fade a lot more. And I mean, for me, it's pretty helpful. I'm gonna close the guard, and right now I'm just focused on those metal teeth going right below where I just was. You can't be scared here, you know? But I think it's definitely worth practicing. I think it's something that you wanna get good at, you wanna put in your arsenal, especially because, you know, guard stacking is really dope, especially when it comes to like shadow fades. Like for example, if you only wanted a 1.5 on the sides, technically after this step, I'd be done. I would just go ahead and pass the rest of it, line them up, and call it. I really wouldn't have to use any guidelines besides that first weight line that I put in with my scissors. But that's really it, if you just wanted that. Now, the next step, usually I stop guard stacking, I stop fading down after the 1.5. Then I'll go into actually starting to set in my guidelines. Now this is my half. So this is my no guard on the clipper, all the way open, and I'm setting in a guideline pretty low because like I said, this is a lower fade. Now we're gonna go ahead and start to set this in. And you can see that I still haven't set in a skin line. Sometimes what I really like to do, personally, when I'm really just like in the shop cutting just like this, is I won't set in a skin line until I'm done with my half, and you guys are gonna see why in a second. Well, the main reason why is because you see now I have my guidelines and my fade, right? Well, look at this. I'm gonna take my soft trimmer, and now it's so much easier to set in my line because I don't have all this bulk. Like if I'm trying to set in a line, right, look, I can't even see where the line's at. I have to go like this, but then that's a way harder line to get out. Versus if it's debulked with the half, I have no bulk that's stopping me to see, you know, where my actual line's at. That's why I like using the half first when I can, so then I don't have to deal with all this kind of weird bulk right there. You know, you wanna really take your time when it comes to like detailing the fade, but like certain steps like this, bro, like they just get to such a point where it's just like such second nature. You don't wanna take 1,000 years to just set in a skin line that you're gonna go and fade out anyways. Now we're gonna go and take the shaver and pass it under. And I think that like how I usually will separate my haircuts is in, you know, to two main things. One is just like the rough draft, and then the second kind of phase is like my detail phase. You guys let me know in these videos, I can show you guys like full speed, or I could just, you know, show you guys if you guys want me to slow them down, you know, but you guys just gotta let me know in the comment section, all right? Either I can go full speed and just, you know, not even trying to rush, but just go like my normal shaft speed, or I can really slow it down and kind of break stuff down a little bit more. I want to just give you guys a mix and just see what you guys like the best. And, you know, I'm really going to be able to see from, you know, you guys in the comment section, how many people, you know, like the video and just what videos do better, you know, and whatever videos that you guys like better, those are the videos I'm going to make more of. You know, I got a lot of cool stuff coming to the channel. So now when it comes to fading out this panel, you notice that there's no skin line on the bottom that I have to fade out. And the reason why is because I used my soft trimmer. I didn't create another line with my shaver, and my clippers are set properly. Those are really the three parts into not having a skin line stay in your fade. Now what I do is I start with the clipper all the way closed, and I go about halfway up my guideline. I'll show you guys right here. Then I go one click open, another one click open, and after that, your whole guideline is faded out. As long as you did all the steps before it correctly with your trimmer and your shaver and having your clipper set right, then you're done, you're good to go. And now it's blended out, and now I just have this last line to fade out. Now this is the second guard of the system, and it's literally just the half guard. Now I only really started using this fading system recently, in like the past month. Really just whenever these clippers came out, because the old fading system that I was using, you know, didn't transfer over the exact same, and that's just because this clipper comes with like a stretched bracket. I start with my guard and my lever all the way open, and then I go and I take it down to half, and then I go and I close it all the way. And especially when I'm doing this last part and I'm just blending this out, I'm using only a corner of my blade. Now when it comes to, you know, setting in my guidelines, I use the full blade of my clipper. I want an even, consistent panel, right, to fade into. But when it comes to fading stuff out, I use a lot more corners. Majority of the time, I'm gonna use a lot more corners. Even when it looks like I'm using my whole blade, I'm only really having, you know, half of the blade actually cutting hair. And then we'll go ahead, and you guys can see all these steps I do around the whole head. That's another thing. I just feel like it makes me a lot more efficient. Even sometimes like when I do tapers, I'll do one step around the whole head, because there's so much time that we waste in turning around, changing guards, turning around, changing guards, turning around, changing guards. If you have one guard, just try to use it as much as possible. Like that's why in some of my tutorials, when I show you guys, let's say somebody has a beard and I'm fading into the beard, if I have a guard in my hand, I'll pass it and start fading in the beard when I already have it in my hand. So when I finish the fade into the beard is already done too. So piece by piece, and the last step to fading out this line is gonna be half guard, but that half guard all the way closed. Now, what you guys are gonna notice, maybe in this tutorial, or maybe when you guys actually do this system in the shop yourself, is like after that, you know, half guard all the way closed, you're like, man, like I don't really feel like that last line got taken out. My favorite part of this system is actually the last step, because the last step not just finishes the fade, but it takes you straight into your detail work, which I think is really, really freaking cool. I honestly already forget what time we started this haircut, but this is the time right now. It's 9:12, just being transparent with you guys. I think we started around like 9, I don't know. I don't even know when we started. I honestly forget. Now we're blending out this last line. Now you guys are gonna notice, like I said, that, you know, maybe that last line doesn't come out. My favorite step of this system is the last step, because when that bottom line doesn't go out, what you do is you take your clipper all the way open, no guard, and you just literally start to use your corners and start to dice into that. This is all you do. Now the cool thing about this is because now you're blending out that last line, but you're also starting to detail your fade. And I feel like this is even more efficient. You start to detail. Now, I don't go into super heavy detail because I like to finish the whole haircut or the haircut and beard or whatever. But guys, you can see the rough draft that this system just gave me off of those steps that I just did, like in the time that I'm doing it is crazy. Like, guys, you have to think about, you guys are not competing with the barbers on Instagram. You guys are not competing with me. You guys are first of all, competing against yourself, right? But also like your haircuts are getting compared to the other barbers and, you know, stylists or whatever that are in your city. That's why I feel like taking the time to watch these tutorials, to further your education, is such a game changer, because there's so many clients to this day in 2025 that tell me that it's so hard to find a barber that knows how to use scissors. And a part of the reason why they sit in my chair, obviously, you know, my service is great and all that type of stuff, but like just, you know, my skill set, that I can deliver these more modern haircuts to them. You know, guys are really waking up and starting to take care of their hair and their image a lot more. And as barbers, we got to be able to stay trendy. And a part of staying trendy is literally being able to do these new trendier haircuts. So continued education is cool. Now, before I get into lining up, just look into the rough draft that I'm getting. Look at the shape that we have here, the layered back still with curls, the weight of the bangs, how this naturally just air dried, and look at the shape of the fade. And we're putting this together in literally like 30 minutes time, guys. Like, it's crazy. But let's go ahead and let's line them up. Now, when it comes to lining up, you see that I purposely left this long because with a lower fade, this kind of area you want to be a little bit darker. So I left this long, but you can see that all this hair is overhang. So what I do is I comb this down right here. I do my top point, I do my bottom point. And now look at that, I just got a super nice dark C cut. Now I could just go ahead and do the other side. You can see I have that same hangover on this side. Go ahead and set it up just the exact same. It's not a pushback, guys. It just, he has long hair, so it's just all overhang. That's why you want to comb the hair up to see, okay, where does his actual hairline live at? And that's where you want to line it up. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to detail this fade. I'm going to show you guys the final result. All right, guys, this is the final result. You can see we have a lower fade right here. We still have a little bit of curl on top, but I want you guys to see the shape of this haircut. And let me show you guys the time real quick. Time right now with some detailing and some filming is 9:30. I think that's what, is that like a 35-ish, something like that haircut, guys? And that's with filming, right? With filming, with styling the hair. But look at that, guys. Look at the shape that he has on top, the nice bangs that he has sitting squared. Look at the low fade that we created. Like, bro, this is absolutely crazy of a haircut. And the fact that we did it in this time while filming is absolutely wild. Like, I want you guys to see this. Let me show you guys a full 360 of the haircut. You can see that we still have some nice weight, some nice curls happening in the back. On the sides, we have a really, really nice fade on this side as well. Guys, like, it's absolutely crazy the result that we were able to get. You can see we have a nice shape right here with the cut as well. Nice curls coming down, nice square shape on top, nice C cups. Like, but guys, if you want to find more haircut tutorials like this, check me out. If you guys come over here to our free 240 Barber School, the link will be in the description. You just have to click on the classroom, and then you guys can go and find better, faster haircuts, making more money right here. These are a bunch of tutorials, but I really want you guys to check out the 6-Figure Barber mini course. This mini course, we give you guys a free tracking sheet to track your income. We give you guys business cards and flyer templates that you guys can use for free. And we give you guys some strategies to help you guys to start making 6 figures a year as a barber. So if you guys want to check this stuff out, the link will be in the description below. Don't get me wrong, my haircut content is good, but my business content is a lot better, and I make these tutorials because I want to help you guys make more money behind the chair. Check the link below in the description and let me know anything that you guys want in the comments below. What haircut you want, what you think I could have done differently, and I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.